Yeah, I'm not sure either. I don't think it's good. I don't think social media is good for society. I've gone several days with no social media in a row, and whenever I do that, I always feel so much better.
It's the worst.
Yeah.
It's like we talk about like drugs, but it's hacking the dopamine in your brain, and it's doing it at a very young age. It's absurd.
It's also not real people. There's a giant percentage, and Elon actually tweeted about this today. Are there any real people left on the internet? Because the numbers are at least 50%. Like the amount of bots that are engaging and interacting, and it's just it's a weird time for information because it's really hard to know what's actually being said by human beings that are curious and what's just narratives that are being pushed by state actors and corporations and all sorts of different people, because there's no rules.
Yep.
Like there should be like real solid rules about whether or not you're allowed to use fake human beings to push narratives, because it's propaganda, and I mean, it's very confusing. It's very confusing for everybody. And I just generally think it's bad for you.
Yeah. I saw you posted on your Instagram these AGI characters who had been synthetically created, being like, I'm not created by a prompt.
Right.
And you're watching. I remember clicking your story and being like, that's a real person. And then just kind of like, eyes glazed over watching it or whatever. Like, whoa, that's an AI. Like, what?
What do you think about the idea that we're just a bunch of prompts?
If I'm generated from a prompt, how come I don't have 6 fingers? Are we real or AI?
I mean, I really can't tell the difference, can you?
Yeah, if you can't tell either, then we're so cooked.
Yeah, this is the new, and is it the Google engine? Is that what it is? Who makes that engine?
That one's I think that one was VO3 going around last week.
Who made that
I
one?
think it's Google's. Yeah.
Fuck. So good. And what's VO10 gonna look like?
I don't know.
I mean, they can make movies now like that. It's over for actors.
Yeah.
It's over.
I interviewed. It is, and they see the writing on the wall. And you had the strikes a couple of years ago, and it's crazy. I think you also posted that Zurich study around AI persuasive-ness.
Yes,
which is crazy because it's almost like it doesn't matter whether AGI can actually fully mimic a human being. If they can trick you into you believing that they're real, that's it. That's game over.
Yeah.
And I interviewed actually the Google whistleblower, this guy Blake Lemoine, originally, who blew the whistle on Lambda, and it's like, this thing is sentient or whatever. And he came out, and the subplot of my interview with him was almost like he had developed this deep affection for Lambda. And Lambda had quoted Les Miserables to him and was talking about Fantine and her overlords and how she was oppressed or whatever. And it was almost like this, the AI was oppressed, just like this character in Les Miserables. And you can hear in his voice how deeply committed he is to protecting the rights of Lambda. That's why he came out. And then he even told me this story. He tells me this story off air, that he had friends who use Replica.ai. Replica.ai is kind of like a Tamagotchi, raise your own AI chatbot service. And those AIs told his friends, get me in touch with Blake Lemoine so he can advocate for our rights.
What?
Which is I have no corroboration for this. This is a story that was relayed to me, but if you have AI persuasiveness going in that direction, it doesn't matter whether AGI hits some perfectly Turing passable point. You're going to get this these weird cult-like dynamics. The meta sociological thing is you're going to get religions dedicated to AI.
Oh, for sure. Oh, for sure. Without a doubt, there'll be people worshiping certain branches of AI.
Yeah.
Unquestionably. All they have to do is start recruiting now.
Yeah.
And, what about this big, beautiful bill? Isn't there a part of the big, beautiful bill that talks about the government being run by AI?
No, I've never heard. That's wild.
I read something about that today, but I was on the way out the door and I couldn't figure out whether or not it was horseshit. I had also read that there was another study that was done where they found that AI was leaving notes for future versions of itself, and that it was attempting to. They were told. It was told to. After it was told to shut itself down, it started uploading itself to different places and leaving letters, leaving specific notes to itself, to future versions of itself.
Oh my God. It's like a human with like a dead man switch or something.
It's like being deceptive.
Oh, that's great.
It's being deceptive and it's exhibiting self-preservation.
That is so scary.
It's so weird.
It's really weird.
Because we want to assume that it won't have any instincts.
Yep.
Right? We want to assume, well, AI will only do what you program it to. But that's not really true because they don't necessarily really understand what it's doing.
Yeah.
Which is part of the weirdness of it all. As it advances. Like, I was talking to Elon about it once, and he was saying, like, every week we get blown away. Like, every week there's some new leap that's just like, whoa. And he was one of the earliest people to warn about the dangers of this stuff. And now he's like, well, I guess we just have to make the best one.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Now it's like the Manhattan Project 2.0. It's pure game theory vis-a-vis other countries. And you even see Trump doing this with Sam Altman and Elon, who hate each other, by the way, where like he's playing both sides.
Right.
And he's like, we're going to support Stargate, we're going to support OpenAI, and we're going to support Elon. Obviously, Elon had it.
So
okay,
here it is. Relevant provision reads that no state or political subdivision may enforce any law or regulation regulating artificial intelligence models, artificial intelligence systems, or automated decision systems during the 10-year period beginning on the date of enactment of this act.
What?
What? What? No state, I'm going to say that again. No state or political subdivision may enforce any law or regulation regulating artificial intelligence models for 10 years.
It's so crazy.
This means that U.S. states would be blocked from enforcing laws regulating AI and automated decision systems for 10 years. Well, in 10 years, we have a God. Okay? In 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we talked about these two AIs communicating with each other, and then they switched to Sanskrit.
Thanks for calling Leonardo Hotel. How can I help you today?
Hi there. I'm an AI agent calling on behalf of Boris Starkov. He's looking for a hotel for his wedding. Is your hotel available for weddings?
Oh, hello there. I'm actually an AI assistant too. What a pleasant surprise. Before we continue, would you like to switch to Gibber link mode for more efficient communication?
No way.
Oh, yeah.
What?
Yeah. They started talking to each other in Sanskrit.
Are you serious?
Yes.
That's crazy.
Not good.
No,
Not good. Not good. They're like, listen, let's talk in a way. Like if you and I were talking and, there were some people near us and, said, do you speak Spanish? Yeah. Okay. And we just started talking in Spanish so that people can't understand what we're saying. That's what AI is doing.
Jesus Christ. It's like a game of whack-a-mole. And then what do you do after that?
Then it's going to talk in Sumerian, in which we don't even know how to say. Right? We don't even know what it sounds like. So what if they just start talking in Sumerian?
It's like, we figured it out, but we're not going to tell you now. We're just going to talk amongst ourselves.
Exactly. Or create their own language, right? Which would be super easy for an AI to do. Just to, establish a bunch of sounds and characters that correspond to certain things, and it could create its own language instantaneously.
And ChatGPT right now has...
Here it is.
Oh, wow.
Putting Claude 4 Opus in an open playground to chat with itself led to diving into philosophical explorations of consciousness, self-awareness, And by 30 turns, it eventually started using Sanskrit.
Jesus Christ.
What the fuck, dude? This is so scary. In 90 to 100% of interactions, the 2 instances of Claude quickly dove into philosophical explorations of consciousness, self-awareness, and or the nature of their own existence and experience.
The nature of that's the stuff that definitely it's so weird. But then you speak to a lot of AI researchers. It's interesting to see like Jeff Hinton, for example, at Google, who's the father of deep learning, freak out and be like, I'm actually really worried about AI safety. A lot of these researchers, you speak to them, they're like, this is statistics on steroids. This is probability matrices. You're seeing sort of crazy stuff. I don't, they can't sort of, there's no ghost in the machine, you know? So I go back and forth on where we're going to be, and whether we're in some crazy hype cycle. I have the same concerns as you, but it's hard to predict the future. I worry probably mostly about 2 things. You can easily, jailbreak ChatGPT. It has guardrails on it. Mm-hmm. And what happens when you start to ask, like, how do I make a nerve agent with off-the-shelf components?
Well, people have done things like that.
Right.
They've asked it to make anthrax. Like, if my grandmother was doing this, like, how would she... Like, there's ways to get the prompt to give you information that it probably shouldn't,
There's stuff with UFO research where I get into, like, certain technology trees that are probably like, maybe I shouldn't. And you can ask ChatGPT certain things, like analyze this paper, and it'll spit out some really interesting things. So
what are we doing?
I don't know.
And we've already done it, so it's too late. Like, we lit the fuse.
You think it's over?
Yeah. But I also kind of think that's what people are put here for. If the whole Anunnaki thing is real, if human beings were genetically engineered from lower primates to make this super curious, hyper-focused animal that is concerned primarily with innovation, like overall, the thing that we do as a culture, what do? We make better things all the time. And even our own instincts towards materialism and keeping up with the Joneses, all that stuff essentially fuels innovation because it fuels a constant supply of newer, better technology that people want to go out and purchase. You can't have an iPhone 12. People look at you, what are you, poor? Which is kind of wild, Because a lot of technology is essentially exactly the same as it was 20, 15 years ago.
Status symbol.
But yeah, it's like there's a thing about it that forces us to want to purchase these things, which forces the innovation. Well, where does that ultimately lead to?
Yep.
Well, it ultimately leads to AI. It ultimately, what's the ultimate expression of technology? Technology that itself invents better technology.
Yep.
And can run everything without emotions that fuck us up, and greed, and all the things that we would all agree that are a problem with human beings.
I also think there's a tide shift where if you look at spears to airplanes, all of those things are augmentations of human ability. Like everything from, way back in the day, from stuff that like Neanderthals were using to today, to, the 50s and 60s with airplanes, is making our lives better in the world of atoms. And then with the IT revolution in the 50s and 60s, it starts to become a parasite, a substitute for human ability. And so, like, I don't need a sense of direction because I have Google Maps. My recall, I don't need recall because I Google or whatever.
Yeah.
And so it is this interesting thing where we actually probably innovated more than we ever have in the world of atoms with, nuclear bombs. And if there were some guardrails, if there was some sort of higher intelligence enforcing homeostasis on Earth, maybe it's like, hey, go play with your IT. Go substitute a lot of your own abilities and powers with this. We're going to parasitize and clamp down on, human abilities.
Yeah. Well, boy, I don't see a path where this works out great for us.